This is Ben AI6YR. Apologize for the handheld video here. I thought I usually restore radios and just put the results online, but I thought I'd show everyone kind of the beginnings of how I go about restoring a radio. This is an Icom IC720 Alpha, which is a HF all-band transceiver. I purchased this from a estate sale today off in Oxnard, California. And I did not pay that. They were asking $200 for these, and obviously they've been pretty thrashed. I paid $75 for these. I probably could have paid a little less if I wanted to bargain. But anyway, let's take a look at what we got. This has got both the radio right here, and we also have the power supply. This was in Oxnard, California, which tells me by the seashore. So this one looks like it's off a boat. And I've done a few radios that have been on boats or near the ocean, and you get a lot of issues with this. So this is rust. That's from ocean air. It's worse when it's on a boat, and that is always a problem. So I will likely be peeling the covers off this one and repainting the cases. So there's that. The other thing you notice about stuff that's been on the ocean, which is a pain because it's quite difficult to deal with, is all this green corrosion. You see the green corrosion there? Maybe if I can focus that. Put that focus there. Green corrosion you'll see on the on various places on the knobs, and so that's actually quite difficult to remove, especially off chrome. Some of the stuff can be scrubbed, but we'll see how we do there. So would I recommend anyone normally buying something like this? Probably not. Unless you've fixed radios before and you don't mind repainting and fixing stuff. However, if you like a project, they're not. It's not a bad thing to have if you like fixing stuff. So let's take a little bit closer look here. One thing I'll probably not do is run the power supply until I've had a chance to check things. Sometimes I have really old capacitors in there, and this one's really quite a mess in terms of rust. So. Probably what I'll do is clean this up. I'll actually show you how I clean these up, which involves taking them out and hosing them off. People go, what? You do what? Some people actually will take the circuit boards off some of these things and put them in the dishwasher. My wife would never let me do that, so this is going to be washed out somewhere here in the driveway or in my front courtyard. This is the transceiver, and a lot of corrosion on the back end too up there. Probably from salt air, and funny enough, this is how sometimes you find these. Someone has just snipped the corner, just the antenna wire. They didn't even bother taking it off. They just cut it. So that's not untypical. So a lot of rust. We'll see where we go from here. I think I'm gonna plug the radio in next, and we'll see. We will see what we've got. And then maybe I'll go through and clean off the power supply, and I'll probably hose the radio off too. If you've got a lot of rust damage, that means there's probably still salt on top of the radio, and maybe even inside. So let's try powering it up first. So here I am in my very messy workshop here. Instead of fixing these radios, I should be cleaning up, but here we go. So here's that Icom IC720, and might as well peel. And I've got gloves on because this is always filthy when you got these new radios. So. Never know what kind of gunk you're going to get on there. We'll peel off the silly sticker there. So what I've got, and I've got over to the right, it's actually got a known good power supply, which it runs these old style radios, both Icom and Kenwood. And I will grab the back end of that. It's actually a Kenwood PS430. It's got these connectors here, which is the same connector. See the connector? That's the same connector as you can see on the back end of this. And we're going to go ahead and make sure this is off, plug this in, and see what we get. Now, sometimes this can be exciting. This is not too old. Some of these I'd bring up slowly on a Variac if it was an older radio, but this is mostly digital. So the worst we can do is blow some caps. So I'll go ahead and plug that in. Oh, the other thing, I was going to disconnect this stub of an antenna. This, if you remember, this is the piece of wire which they just chopped the antenna apart. Just gonna chuck that, or I'll use that for another project. Find my other. I have another cable here that goes to an antenna. There's a antenna cable. Plug that in. Now, always one thing I always do is I always make sure that I'm connected to a dummy load or an antenna with these, because in case they suddenly decide to go into transmit. So let's make sure we're still in focus here. There we go. So hopefully you can still see the radio. So I got the power on the power supply. Let's see what this does. Oh, so that's the first good step here, is you can actually hear audio. And these pots all probably need to be lubed. Let's see what happens going up on band. Oh boy. So that sounds like there's some kind of an antenna tuner in here, which probably is clicking every time you change bands. Let's see what happens. Yeah, antenna tuner. That is a little crazy. I don't know if it works or not. First thing I usually do on these radios is go to WWV. I don't know what the band's doing like, but let's go over there. And looks like we have, at least we know we have a radio that receives. Are we in SSB? Yep. So it looks like we're receiving. So that's a WWV. It's a good sign. Let's see if we can hear anything on the bands now. It's like a ham general. Oh, and this up here at 15 is another WWV. So that's working here. Spin around and see if we can hear anything on 40 meters here. Now the bands may be dead. It's a great Aurora day. Sorry about the shaking here. So it may be a bad, well, nothing on 40, which could mean either 40 is dead or it could mean this is not receiving on 40. And the ham band here, no. 20 meters. Well, nothing on 20. Now this again could be the band. This might not be the radio. Oh, let's see. Let's go up and see if we hear anything. That sounds louder. And look at that, 17 meters. Receiving on 17. So it looks like for this Icom IC720 we're ahead, which is it actually receives. So we know that 17 is running. I've got it. You can't see the meter here, but I'm going to hit a transmit just to see if I get anything at all. We're on a dummy load. I see a little indication. I don't know if I'm getting power out. Let's see here. Woo. Min, max. AI6YR. AI6YR. Well, I'm getting something. It's not a full power, but it's not no power. So let's see here. What else do I want to try? Since I'm being bold, I'm going to pull something to do. See what we get on CW down on at this time of the day. Nothing down on 80 meters. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can transmit that real quick. The Morse code telegraph key. Figure out where to plug that in. Looks like I've got the wrong kind of connector for this kind of radio. Okay, well, looks like we'll do something else. one thing you can do, I'm on a dummy load, so this is okay, but you can actually go to RTTY generally mode and transmit to see what kind of power you got. Got to be in band. I'm going to a dummy load, see what we got here. No, not RTTY. Yeah, I'm not getting any power out on this band, so I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, so we kind of get an idea what's going on. At least we know we have a radio that receives. So let's go back and go back to the band. Oh, looks like 40 meters actually we're hearing something. So that's a good sign. Not great, but it seems like we hear something. Oh, it looks like I'm bumping my camera. So it looks like 20 meters at least is receiving. So great. Well, this kind of gives me a starting place. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go clean off the covers. Maybe we'll pop this open and see what it looks like inside, and then I'll wash off the power supply for sure. Probably it's covered for sure. I might even do the radio. The only thing is usually when the radio is running, I'm a little nervous about washing it all out right away because, of course, you're introducing moisture and it's going to take a couple days to dry out. So I will think about what I want to do there. I'll be back. So here we are out near my front patio, and we've got this radio. This is some people ask me, you know, how do you clean out a radio? I mean, it's all these nooks and crannies and whatnot, and I use brute force and haven't broken the radio yet. What I do is essentially I've got this bottle of this is Simple Green, pretty innocuous cleaner. Some people will use Windex, but Simple Green works pretty well. And I just go ahead and get this running here. Just hit this thing. The important thing, of course, is you don't want to run this radio or this power supply in this case anytime soon after you've done this, unless you totally clean things out. You know, water and electricity don't mix. So here's that. Turn on the hose. This is a horrible video, I know, because I'm hand holding it, but and that's the best way to get all the dirt and the grime and grease out of the radio. Put the cord there too. Gotta scrape that, but not there. Okay, so that's step one, is to clean this off. Get that. So it looks like this is a green Icom. Go hit the bottom there too. Get all that off. So that is the first step. I might do that multiple times. I might do that after cracking the cover as well, but that's at least a start. Important thing with the radio is you've got to be careful all the components can't get wet. The biggest one that you can't get wet is the speaker, and so on that one I'll pull the speaker off before I do this. And still deciding whether I'm going to do that with this radio. I haven't cracked it open yet, so maybe we'll do that next. Anyway, I'm going to do this in a number of videos, so that's the first step. We know we've got a working radio. We kind of cleaned off this power supply. I will check that probably in a couple days. I may even just put a hairdryer to it to dry it. And that's the beginning of a restoration on a pretty rusty radio, but probably not too much work. I think I suspect it's going to be a lubrication and probably repainting for this one. This is AI6YR.